You hear the dog. And so, Heidi, I'm so sorry, but my dog really wants to be part of this. He's very excited about the books. His name is Harry, which is really a book name because he's named for Harry the Dirty Dog, but also Harry Potter because I'm a very big Harry Potter fan, and I think he hears his name. So my apologies if you hear him throughout the webcast because he really he's excited about the Sydney Taylor books, aren't you?
Good boy, Harry.
You know what? I will get a bone, and then I will be able to talk to you.
This is the Book of Life. I'm Heidi Rabinowitz. It's Book Awards season. The Sydney Taylor Book Awards recognize the best Jewish kidlit each year. I Skyped with Susan Kusel, chair of the Sydney Taylor Book Award Committee, from her snowed-in house in Virginia to reveal the 2019 winners of the award. I also want you to know about the Sydney Taylor Manuscript Award for unpublished middle-grade Jewish fiction. It's likely that I'll have an interview later on about this, but for now I am happy to tell you that the winner is Jessica Littman, author of the manuscript A Corner of the World. It's a story of a B'nai Mitzvah project that becomes bigger and better than anyone could have expected. Don't forget to visit bookoflifepodcast.com for links to everything you ever wanted to know about the Sydney Taylor Book Award and Manuscript Award, and about this year's winning titles.
So, Susan Kusel, welcome back to the Book of Life. It was great to have you on the Book of Life when we were talking about the Highlights Foundation workshop, and it's wonderful to have you back again so soon. I'm very excited because we are here to announce the 2019 winners of the Sydney Taylor Book Awards from the Association of Jewish Libraries, of which you are the committee chair. First, I want to just make sure that all of our listeners understand what the Sydney Taylor Book Awards are. So can you please explain that to get us going?
Hi, Heidi. It's so great to be back on the Book of Life. It's always fun to talk to you. And it's very exciting to talk about the Sydney Taylor Book Award, a wonderful award that is for Jewish children's and young adult literature. It is in honor of Sydney Taylor, the author of the All of a Kind Family series. And the award recognizes books for children and teens that exemplify high literary standards while also authentically portraying the Jewish experience. The award is given out by the Association of Jewish Libraries and sponsored by Jo Taylor Marshall, who is the daughter of Sydney Taylor.
This is the 51st anniversary of the Sydney Taylor Book Award, sort of a jewel in the crown of what the Association of Jewish Libraries does. And this year, things are a little bit different because in addition to AJL proudly announcing the winners, as we are about to do, the American Library Association will be including the Sydney Taylor Book Award among their list of winners when they announce the Newbery Medal and the Caldecott Medal and other well-known awards such as the Coretta Scott King that they announce each year at their midwinter meeting. They will be including the Sydney Taylor Book Awards. So first of all, I want to give you the opportunity to share your excitement about this because this is going to mean that a lot more people are going to hear about the Sydney Taylor Book Award. And also, I'd like to know a little bit more about how this came to be.
I can tell you that I am beyond excited. This is a watershed moment for the Sydney Taylor Book Awards, for AJL, and we are honored to participate. The Association of Jewish Libraries is an affiliate of the American Library Association. So starting last year, ALA took an initiative to include 3 affiliate awards in their Youth Media Award announcement at the Midwinter Conference. The other affiliates are the American Indian Library Association and the Asian Pacific American Librarians Association. And all 3 of us will have our awards announced right at the beginning of the Youth Media Awards. And it's just going to be an amazing day on January 28th.
So the Youth Media Awards at ALA, for people who are into children's books, this is like the Oscars or something.
Oh, it is the Oscars.
Yes. So I want you to convey to our listeners the excitement and the buzz of being in the room where it happens. So you've been there before. You've been a member of the Caldecott Medal Committee. Talk a little bit about what it's like to actually be there during this announcement.
It is one of my absolute favorite days of the year. I have been there every year for over a decade, and it is the room where it happens. It is 1,000 people in a big ballroom every year. It's an incredible moment. It starts at 8 a.m. and the line starts, I think, at 6 a.m. You wait and you wait and you wait. The anticipation builds and everyone's talking. And then finally the doors open and you just burst in and everybody sits down, and the chatter and the talk and the buzz and the feeling of excitement in the room is palpable. And I have tried to take so many pictures over the years of the line and the size and the people, and they all fail. You just literally have to be there. There's a webcast that shows what's happening. So if you're not one of the 1,000 people in the room, you can watch. But if you watch the webcast, what you may not have seen is all the stuff that was happening in the room. So the webcast just has one camera angle on the person making the announcements, but it doesn't show everything else. And I've always thought that's too bad because everything else is incredible. The committees will often use props. So, for example, the year Locomotive won the Caldecott Medal, everybody on the committee stood up and blew locomotive whistles. They blew train whistles. My committee was Beagle, and the second Beagle was announced, we all put on yellow construction paper crowns. It was so cool. And then we wore the crowns the rest of the day, and everybody said, "Oh, were you on the committee?" People stand up, they give ovations. Just action happens in that room that you can't see on the webcast. But it is great to watch the webcast because it does give you a hint of the energy of what's going on. And so to be one of these awards it's just a dream, truly.
You talked about the committee that is off camera. What about the audience? Are the audience jumping up and down, standing on tables, screaming? What else is going on in the room?
Well, there are no tables. There's no jumping on tables, but there can be jumping up and down. So there's so many different reactions. I mean, you're used to hearing, happy, excited applause, and that's wonderful. But there are also things that you don't expect. So my Caldecott committee made this very unusual choice where we had 6 honors, which is the record number. It's the most honors anyone has ever had. And when they said the Caldecott committee has chosen 6 honors, 1,000 people gasped. And that gasp, I can still hear that gasp. Which was funny because right after they said the Caldecott committee has chosen 6 honors, they said the Newberry committee has chosen 2 honors. So they were just gasping for everybody.
That's great.
And sometimes there's actually dead silence. So they say the Newberry medal goes to, and then there's nothing in the room, and the room is just crickets. And it's not that they hated the book, it's that no one's heard of the book because the book came out late or it was a first-time author. There's just this silence, and then everyone says, "Wait, what just won the Newberry? Did you hear what won the Newberry? I don't know. Do you know?" And it's kind of funny. But it's always exciting. There's so much energy.
Now, the authors are not present for this announcement, right? Because this is when everybody's just finding out who the winners are.
Right. So there are some exceptions where the authors, they live in the area or they were at the conference for another reason. Sometimes there are authors present, but generally authors are not there. This is just where they're telling who won. And then in June is when the authors are celebrated and there's award ceremonies, and that's when the authors come.
And it's the same thing for AJL, that the announcement has always been at the beginning of the year, and then the authors actually receive their award and give their acceptance speech and so on at the annual conference in June.
Yes, and this year our annual conference will be in Los Angeles, June 17th through 19th. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there, Heidi.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about the actual award winners for 2019.
Ooh.
If I had a drum, I would do a drum roll.
Okay, the fun part. Let's talk about the award winners.
Okay, so let me just explain for anyone who's not familiar that the Sydney Taylor Book Awards have 3 categories, and they are age categories. So there's a winner and honors and notables in 3 age groups: the younger readers, which is basically picture books, the older readers, which is sort of middle grade type chapter books, and the teen readers, which is YA books. Why don't we talk about the gold medalists for all 3, and then we can talk about any of the silver or notable books that you want to mention. So in the younger readers category, what is our gold medalist?
Well, this is really quite an interesting winner for us. It's All of a Kind Family Hanukkah by Emily Jenkins, illustrated by Paul Zielinski. It actually ends up paying homage to Sydney Taylor and to what these awards are all about. But the truth is that it wasn't chosen for any of those reasons. It was picked because it's just an amazing, incredibly well-researched, well-illustrated, well-written book.
So I just have to say, yay, because I love that book. I interviewed Emily and Paul, and they were a delight to speak to, and it's a beautiful tribute to the original All of a Kind family series. And just to make sure everyone understands the connection between All of a Kind family and the AJL family, Sydney Taylor is the namesake for this book award. So it's very special that this book related to Sydney Taylor's own family has now won the Sydney Taylor Book Award.
Although it is an original book, it is not part of that classic series.
Correct. As anybody who listened to that earlier interview knows, this is not an incident from the series that's been turned into a picture book. It's a new story invented by Emily Jenkins, but using those same characters. Sarah in the story is Sydney Taylor. There she is. So it's sort of meta in a way.
It is
the
a little
Sydney
bit,
Taylor Book
yeah.
Award goes to a story that includes the person who basically is Sydney Taylor.
It's a little meta. It's a little meta.
Yeah, that's a great choice. It's a wonderful book. What is the gold medalist for older readers?
The gold medalist for older readers is Sweep, The Story of a Girl and Her Monster by Jonathan Auxier. It's about a golem, and we see a lot of books about golems, but this one is a soot golem because it's about a girl living in Victorian London who is a chimney sweep. It's a totally unique book with some fantasy elements involved, just absolutely captivating. There is an aspect that feels a little like Oliver Twist, but it really goes far beyond that. And every stereotype you think the book is going toward, it doesn't, and it just blows you away over and over and over. It's really a work of art.
I just finished reading that book, and I'm very excited to hear that it's a winner. I think an interesting thing about this Gollum story was that the children find a way to empower themselves so that they aren't only relying on the Gollum's help. This is an activist story. And so I think that that's a very inspiring message, that we don't need to rely on real or figurative or magical golems in life. Okay, so let's hear about the gold medalist in the teen category.
So that was What the Night Sings by Vespa Stamper. Very unusually, it is a young adult book that is illustrated by the author. It's just beautiful. It is a Holocaust book. A lot of young adult books we received were. What's different about this book is it took place in a displaced persons camp, and it had a very different story to tell of how this teenage Holocaust survivor was struggling to reconcile herself with her new life and figuring out who she was now. Powerful and touching and emotional and beautiful, which is not usually a word I use with Holocaust novels.
What style of art is it illustrated with?
They're done with ink, and they're scattered throughout the book. They're in unexpected places. They add quite a lot to the book. And in the end note, the author talks about how physically challenging the illustrations were to make. that really adds another layer to the whole book and the whole understanding of it.
Okay. So it's not a graphic novel.
It's not a graphic novel. There's spot art in some places and there's larger pictures some other places. It's just the right picture and just the right moment and just the right place. It's quite an extraordinary book. It really is.
Okay. And I guess it would have to be because, as you say, there are always so many Holocaust books submitted, it can be kind of mind-numbing.
It is. I mean, it's easily half of what you see.
Right. But at the same time, it's very compelling material. So when it's done well, it's done really well.
Right, and that's what happened here.
Okay, so let's talk about the silver medalists, the honor books. Tell me about the younger readers' silver medalists.
Two very interesting younger honor books. The first is Through the Window, View of Marc Chagall's Life and Art by Barb Rosenstock and illustrated by Mary Graham-Prey. It is stunning. I mean, just beautiful illustrations and a really unique and interesting sense of Chagall's life. Chagall is a classic Jewish artist, and you see so many of his motifs throughout the book. And the other honor book is A Moon for Mo, M-O-E, and Mo, M-O, by Jane Breskin-Zalbin, illustrated by Mekerdot Amini. One Mo, who's Moses, is shopping for Rosh Hashanah with his mother, and the other Mo, who's Mohammed, is shopping for Ramadan with his mother, and how they meet and how they become friends. So this is really a beautiful and touching book as well.
Okay, and you said that the illustrator for Through the Window is Mary Graham-Prey. That's the illustrator for the Harry Potter books, the American edition of the Scholastic Harry Potter books. So that's quite a coup to have someone who illustrated the magical world of Harry Potter now having illustrated a Sidney Taylor recognized book.
It is. It's huge. And Barb Rosenstock and Mary Graham-Prey also illustrated a book called The Noisy Paint Box, which won a Caldecott honor the year I was on the Caldecott committee. So that was really cool for me to see another one of their books.
Very nice. And A Moon for Mo and Mo, as listeners may remember, I interviewed Jane Breskin-Zalbin about that, and that was a wonderful book of outreach, between the Jewish community and the Muslim community, a literary hand extended in friendship. It's interesting because it reminds me of an earlier book on a similar theme, Yafa and Fatima, Salam Shalom, or Shalom Salam, I don't remember which word comes first. But that, I believe, was also an honor book for Sidney Taylor, is that right?
Last year, it was a Sidney Taylor honor, yes.
Right, in the younger readers category. So that's interesting, 2 years in a row that we've had Sidney Taylor honor picture books that are about friendship between Jews and Muslims. It seems to be a trend. So let's hear about the honor winners for the older readers category.
Okay, so we have two wonderful honor winners here. All Three Stooges by Erica Pearl, which is a really touching examination of what happens when someone close to you commits suicide. It's about a kid dealing not with his parents' death, but with his best friend's parent dying and all the feelings he has about that and about how to deal with his best friend now and how is his best friend a new person. It's just so honest and unique and I think an important book for so many kids to read. Okay.
There was another honor book for the older readers. What was that?
That was The Length of a String by Alyssa Brent Weissman. Yes, it was a really good book. I agree. It weaves so many things together.
Oh, my goodness, Harry, what's going on?
I don't know. He really liked the book. Maybe the dog has to be let out again. Hang on. He keeps going outside, and he keeps saying, wait, right. They're still on the ground. I don't want that. And then he keeps coming right back in, and then he's like, but wait, I have to go outside.
Right.
Okay. So Length of a String by Alyssa Brent Weissman was a lovely book. There was an adoption story and a Holocaust story that really kind of kept you on the edge of your seat, and a Jew of color, which was wonderful to see. Just so many different narratives all woven together. A very well-written book.
That's a wonderful thing to get some more representation so that it's not purely about white Ashkenazi Jews from the East Coast. Awesome. And then in the teen readers category, did we have any honor books?
In the teen reader category, we had one honor book, You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone. The very exciting thing about it is it was not a Holocaust book.
Hooray!
Hooray! And it was about two 18-year-old twins who are completely different. One is really into science and schoolwork, and the other is an expert prodigy viola player. Their mother has Huntington's disease, and it has destroyed their world. And on their 18th birthday, they can get tested for the gene that has Huntington's. And their decision to get tested, and if they have it, shapes the rest of the book. Very Jewish, their identity with their Jewish upbringing, and their mother is Israeli, so there's a lot of Hebrew in the book. A really fascinating story.
Wonderful. So it's interesting that several of the titles you mentioned also got recognition from the Jewish Book Council with the National Jewish Book Awards that were recently announced. All Three Stooges was the winner for the Jewish Book Award. They have many categories, but in their children's book category, and it's an honor book here, and then sort of flip-flopped, Olive Kind, Family, Hanukkah, and Sweep that are winners for Sydney Taylor were both finalists for the National Jewish Book Award. So all of the Jewish Book Award committees think that these are excellent books, and there's just difference of opinion on what order they should be placed in. But everybody loves them all, so that's a great thing. It's nice to have agreement.
Exactly. And we saw that last year as well, where we shared winners. We have different criteria and different judges and different categories and different everything. And so it's exciting when we see a lot of the same books come to the top like that.
The Sydney Taylor Book Award Committee always names notable books as well. So let's hear the notables in the younger readers category.
So we had 4 notable books in the younger category. French Toast Sundays by Gloria Spielman, illustrated by Inbal Bozdian. I think the only book I've ever seen about Shiva and what that is like. And The Passover Parrot by Evelyn Zusman, illustrated by Kirsten Brooker, and this is a re-illustration of a classic book. Irving Berlin, The Immigrant Boy Who Made America Sing by Nancy Churin, illustrated by James Ray Sanchez. We had Right On, Irving Berlin, written by Leslie Kimmelman, illustrated by David Gardner. It was actually a very big year for Irving Berlin books because God Bless America was written in 1918, so this was a 100th anniversary of that epic song.
Okay, interesting. And notable books in the older readers category?
We had 4 notable books in the older reader category. Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation, adapted by Ari Foldman, illustrated by David Polanski. 12 Before 13 by Lisa Greenwald, a fun middle grade novel about camp and bat mitzvahs. Light the Menorah, a Hanukkah handbook by Jacqueline Jules, illustrated by Christina Schwerner. A deep exploration of Hanukkah. And The Sound of Freedom by Kathy Kaser, which is a unique exploration of the orchestra that Bronislaw Huberman formed in Palestine.
And were there any notables for teens?
There was only one notable for teens. That was Resistance by Jennifer Nielsen. It's about a girl who resisted the Nazis in many different ways during World War II, culminating with the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising.
Okay. Were there any particular trends or themes that you're seeing this year?
Well, I'm certainly seeing a lot of diversity, as we talked about with A Moon for Mo and Mo and The Length of a String. I'm seeing some different themes than we have before. Huntington's disease in You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone, the Shiva in French Toast Sundays, suicide in All Three Stooges. These were not the same old stuff. And while we have seen a lot of Holocaust books, the books that were awarded had different aspects of the Holocaust. What the Night Sings was about a displaced persons camp. The Sound of Freedom, the whole second half of the book took place in Palestine. And Resistance by Jennifer Nielsen was showing us how Jews resisted very actively.
I haven't read all of the books on the list, but just taking a quick look at these titles, would you say that self-empowerment might be a theme that's running through quite a few of them?
I would. There's definitely a lot of self-empowerment in Length of a String, where she tries to figure out how to navigate this adoption issue for herself. In All Three Stooges, where he tries to figure out how to save his friendship. Resistance is completely about self-empowerment. I mean, that's the whole point of the book. And You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone has a lot of trying to figure out who they are. But I think that it would be the most encapsulated by Sweep, where these kids take their mistreatment and they take all their frustration with their lives and their profession. And instead of just being frustrated and letting that go, they figure out a way to harness that energy productively.
For the last several years, the Sydney Taylor Book Award authors and illustrators have participated in a blog tour, which is sort of like going on tour, except instead of appearing live at bookstores, they appear on various blogs, usually blogs that generally cover children's literature or Jewish literature. So will that be happening again in 2019?
It will. We're going to be doing that February 10th through 14th. And I'm so excited about this because every blogger brings such a different energy and they do interesting research and they ask different questions that never even occurred to me. And I love seeing what each author and illustrator have to contribute. They're fascinating articles to read, and I hope that you do.
I just wanted to mention another project that you and I worked on together, along with a whole bunch of other...
A lot of people.
A lot of people. We were calling it our posse of Jewish kidlit nerds, was our nickname for the group. We worked on a project called Love Your Neighbor, which is AJL recommendations of Jewish books for all readers, not just Jewish readers. And this was a project that we dreamed up actually because of a conversation that you and I were having on Facebook, Susan, right after the terrible shooting at the synagogue in Pittsburgh in October 2018. You know, everybody was just reeling in shock, and as librarians, we wanted to recommend books to help people deal with the tragedy, because that's what librarians do, is we find books as a way to cope. So you had posted on Facebook, I don't know what books to display to respond to this, what should I do? And we all pitched in with comments about books showing Jewish people and non-Jewish people in friendship. And that's what we need to talk about rather than the hate that was happening, talk about the opposite of that and promote that kind of thinking. And we had so many suggestions coming out of that we ended up turning it into an AJL project where we created this Love Your Neighbor series. It was a series because we had too many books for a single book list. Standing Up for Each Other was the first list, so being an ally. A list on synagogues, clergy, and Jewish ritual for people who were not familiar with synagogues. Because a synagogue was at the center of this tragedy, they should understand what a synagogue is. A list on the American Jewish experience, as the atmosphere in America has become more difficult for minorities. It's important to remember that we are part of the fabric of America. And then the final list, ending on an upbeat note, a list called Let's Be Friends, just portraying friendship and showing how easy it is for people of different backgrounds to be friends. And so I wanted to bring this up not only because I want to make sure people know about this project, but because some of the books we just talked about actually were on this list before they even got this recognition. So, you know, we were already kind of tuned into the fact that these were quality books. Let's mention which books those were that now have been recognized both by Sydney Taylor Book Awards and on the Love Your Neighbors list.
So Sweep was on the Let's Be Friends list.
Right, because we've got a friendship between the little girl who is climbing the chimneys and some Jewish friends that she makes there in Victorian England, as well as her golem, which is not, you know, the golem isn't Jewish exactly, but it comes from a Jewish source of mythology. So
Right.
The whole idea behind it is Jewish.
And also on the Let's Be Friends list was A Moon for Mo and Mo,
Right, obvious title for the friendship between Jews and Muslims.
And then on the synagogue's clergy and Jewish ritual was All Three Stooges.
Right, there was a rabbi who was very helpful to the protagonist as he was working through these problems in his relationship with his best friend and dealing with the death of his friend's father. And Hebrew school played a big role in that story as well.
It did. And also, as you go through these lists, the other thing that's interesting to note is how many Sidney Taylor winners and honors and notables from years past are on these lists.
Right, because those are such high-quality books that those are the ones we turn to when we need something to convey these ideas of friendship, of allyship, of the important role that Jews have played in the American story. So yes, there's a lot of past Sidney Taylor winners.
And I have to say it's exciting to see these as neat lists after, I don't know, hundreds of emails, would you say, Heidi?
Yes, we exchanged hundreds of emails in the process of narrowing it down and deciding which category, because some of the books could have fit in more than one category.
But they're all so pretty now.
Yes, and so just to tell everybody, these 4 book lists in the Love Your Neighbor series can be found at jewishlibraries.org, at the Association of Jewish Libraries website. If listeners want to find out more about the Sidney Taylor Book Award, if they want to get a list that they can easily print out of all of these winners and honors and notables that we've talked about, where can they find that?
www.sydneytaylorBookAwards.org, and that's book awards with an S at the end.
Yes, plural book awards. Okay, .org, not .com. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that I haven't thought to ask you?
I would really like to thank the committee. They did an enormous amount of work, and I am so impressed with all of them. We received over 150 books, ranging from board books to young adult novels, and some of those young adult novels were 400 to 500 to 600 pages. I am deeply indebted to them and the work they did. So I'd like to thank Rena Citron, Shoshana Flax, Rebecca Levitan, Sylvie Schaffer, Marjorie Schuster, Rivka Yerushalayim, and Ellen Tillman, our past chair. Thank you all so much.
Lovely. And congratulations to the committee on picking these amazing books. So, Susan, you were the chair of the committee this year. Are you continuing on for another year, or what's your role going to be at this point?
Well, so this is the end of my second year as chair and the end of my 4th year on the committee and the end of my tenure on the Sidney Taylor Committee. So I am turning it over to Rebecca Levitan, and I am really excited to see the things Rebecca will do, and I am excited to see what I will go on to do myself.
I'm sure we'll find a way to keep you busy within the Association of Jewish Libraries. Don't you worry about that.
There's no easy way out.
Right. You can never leave.
Nope.
It's like the Hotel California.
It is, but I have loved working with AJL and am excited to continue.
Okay, wonderful. So, Susan, thank you so much for speaking with me. Harry the dirty dog, thank you for being there too, and for not barking too much. It's been great having you on the Book of Life.
Thank you, Heidi. It's really been a pleasure. I think this is my 3rd time on the Book of Life.
At least.
And I hope there's many more. And Heidi, in case no one ever says this, thank you for all that you do for the Sidney Taylor Book Awards. It's an enormous amount behind the scenes that I don't think anyone knows about, and we deeply appreciate it. It wouldn't be the same thing without you.
Aw, thank you. That's so sweet.
Hi, I'm Jane Yolen, and my new book, Meet Me at the Well, The Girls and Women of the Bible, is out, ready for you to buy, and you're going to hear more about it on a podcast pretty soon. I love writing this book because I was co-authoring it with one of my best friends, Barbara Diamond Golden, and the two of us learned so much as we worked on teasing out the stories of the girls and women of the Bible from the stories of the men who seem to dominate the book. I'm dedicating this to my 3 children, Heidi, Adam, and Jason, and my 6 grandchildren as well.
And this is Barbara Diamond Golden, and I really appreciated working with Jane Yolen on this book, and I would like to dedicate this to her. And I learned so much about writing and how to be a co-author from her. And I'm also thinking about my children, Jeremy and Josie, and my 2 grandchildren, Argent and Hannah. Thank you.
If you enjoy the Book of Life podcast, please become a patron at patreon.com/bookoflife. Leave a review on iTunes or a comment on our blog at bookoflifepodcast.com. You can also like our page at facebook.com/bookoflifepodcast. Follow us at twitter.com/bookoflifepod. Email us at bookoflifepodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 561-206-2473. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida at cbiboca.org and is supported in part by the Association of Jewish Libraries at jewishlibraries.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilach Makers Klezmer String Band. Thanks for listening and happy reading.